Okay, it's that time again. It's time for Geekspeak, and this week we are talking about listings, so a lot of local SEO is going to be super important, especially in an age of AI, and the content game's not going to be as big. One thing that no matter how sophisticated you are at SEO, you can still do local SEO and start ranking well. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And of course, my name is Phelan with Seymour Digital Media.
And I'm Rina with Little Work City Media.
Awesome, awesome. And uh, could you? So let's. I'm just trying to share into the group, right? Because we still have to do that because Facebook's been annoying about groups. But to get started, I think one of the parts that we want to talk about is like what kind of is a listing. I guess would
Yeah.
kind of be the first part. We should
So,
just make sure.
yeah. So, um, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, Phelan, but I consider the Google business listing as part of off-page SEO. So when people talk about on-page SEO and off-page SEO, this is sort of a component within off-page SEO. And and Google business listing is exactly what it sounds like. It's a listing that you can get through Google to list your physical business and also service areas. So if you
Yeah.
don't have a physical brick and mortar, they now have an option for service areas where you can put the basics, actually, quite a few basics of your business in there. And it helps
Mm-hmm.
to drive traffic to your website. And there's like all of the information section. And then there's this really neat little spot at the bottom. And we'll talk a little bit about that more, where you can actually add company updates, which would be similar to a social media update, except for
Mm-hmm.
people can't really interact with your content. But it's really nice real estate when somebody searches your company and you come up and you get the Google business listing on the right hand side of the search results page. That section is really quite large, very it gets people's attention with quite large photos, and you can have more up-to-date information and fresh content on your business listing by doing that. So that's sort of the overall Google business listing. And and there are other listings that work similarly. So it pins on a map also, and it's directly organized on the um, place. What's it called again? Let me just
Uh,
Google
yeah.
Maps app. So if you're on your phone, how it works really well is if you're on the phone and you want to find something like gas station near me or gift store near me because you're on the road and you're doing something and you got some time and you want to pick something up, you put that into Google, and then this is where the Google business listing will be served up. And then you can hit website to go view more information, you can hit call, or you can hit get directions. There's a couple other ones in there too, but those are the main ones. And so it can really help from a user perspective in a different way than just a search engine in my mind. That's sort of how I think about it.
Yeah.
Did I get everything there?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say, just expand on that as well. When you're doing any of those updates, because you can do different ones. Ones could be an update, one could be a promotion. So if you have a
Yeah.
sale, it's really good for like come in 10% off, whatever. Uh, but the other one that's really good is event. So you can have
Right.
it go to a specific page, and then in Google Maps, it can have what's happening in your local area, and you could show up in there as well. So
All
not
right.
even
Yeah.
necessarily like they're searching gas station near me, but they could be like Google could just feed up or just present any events because it's a local thing that's happening as an event.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, so really powerful stuff there. And I'd also say that I would agree that it's an off page SEO.
Mhm.
Only in the sense of how I define those is that on page SEO is just SEOing your website. So
Yes.
anything that's related on someone else's platform that's not your website, that's to me off page SEO because it's you're
Yeah.
trying to get people back over to your website. And so there are definitely some Google business profiles, a really powerful one. It's free. It's super easy to
Right.
use. They make it easy for you to add all your information and get found. So always recommend that for any business to do that, as well as once you've verified with Google, you can then have yourself over Bing places. Not always, not like it's not going to revolutionize your traffic to your website, but I've had clients where it's
For link back, yeah,
10% of their conversions were from Bing. It was enough that it kind of warranted like just having it there, making sure it was up to date. Like you don't
yeah,
want to reinvent the wheel. And the other good part is that Bing knows that you're not really going to invest in Bing, so they just have like an import feature, and then they have
yeah,
a sync feature so that
yeah.
if there's
And
changes.
so I think that there's probably some people out there that are unaware that Bing is another search engine because it's not very well known. So a lot of people use Chrome, Explorer, and Firefox and those ones. Is Firefox still a thing? I don't know.
Well, Firefox is the browser, so the search engine
Right.
within it
Oh,
is
right, right, right.
yeah, yeah. So I know it's like a Google was smart with doing Chrome and like having
Yeah,
that little two
we
step
were.
where they're both the browser and the search engine.
Yeah, right.
Which is why they were being compelled to separate the two is because of that. What gave them an unfair advantage.
Right.
So, and then there's other things of with listings as well. There's also things like oh, one. Sorry, before I get to that, there's one other thing I wanted to say for people who are wondering about Bing and what's the use case. Is generally if you are targeting corporate clients, is the people I would say that you should get all your stuff on Bing really good because what happens is if you're at work, you're forced to use your
Right.
Microsoft computer with their Office, and you have
That's
to
right.
you have to use all the Bing, all the Microsoft stuff because
Yeah.
security, corporate security, and so that's a really good use case. I've known some people that did like any B two B. So I had someone that was software development for large businesses. They did really well with Bing
Right.
because that's when people are like, "Hey, boss," or they get told you tell a subordinate, "Go find me someone that can do this," and then they have to use Bing, and then you're showing up there, and so it's
Yeah.
definitely worth
So
it.
I almost think that we should probably do another topic on off-page SEO so that we can cover the whole scope of that. But
Hmm.
let's get back to the business listings because we do have quite a bit to cover in that. So
Yeah.
we so that's sort of what it is. So how do you approach and what do you do to optimize your traffic and get the most from your business listing is you need to optimize your profile. So that's number
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
There and it basically like if you when you do the setup, it will actually show you, and even if you go in to edit your settings, it will show you what's missing and what to change. Um, and so they have like basic information you want to use as you want to fill the space. So if there's a space that's asking for some kind of description, fill it in. Make sure it's keyword rich
Hmm.
content. So that will really help. But the thing that I wanted to point out about the content on Google Business Listing that's different than almost every other, well, than every other social platform, for example, is that it's also user generated. So somebody could be um, checking in, or I don't even know if they have the check in feature anymore, but if they're walking by and they're leaving a review, sometimes you're prompted to review the information of the business. So it will ask you, is this the correct telephone number? Is this the right answer? Do they have this like
Yeah.
service or product?
Yeah. Like
And
wheelchair accessible.
yeah,
That's one.
yeah, it'll ask you a whole lot of different things. It usually gives you just three things and then it will move on. But so what sometimes happens is the wrong information will get up there. So it's also really important to not only optimize, but to review your page regularly, in addition to the fact that they're always adding new features and new spots to fill in. So make sure you're not just, it's not once and done, it's once and go check it regularly. So I have it on my monthly to-do list to go and take a peek. And then I also think, and I don't know if this is accurate, but I suspect that they also scan your website because there is a telephone number on my website that I use for my training and grant clients that helps people with figuring out where they need to phone to figure out if they've actually properly registered their business to get the grant. and that keeps autofilling on my Google business profile, which I don't want, right? So,
Yeah.
and I also had, I was part of this little scam from the United States. There was this marketing company that was putting its telephone number in my Google business to try and get some action from. I don't know why, because I don't really get too much action from Google that's direct. Um, so so you want to check that information out, and then did you want to, was there anything that I missed? Oh, photos. That was the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, photos is another thing that you can put up and that your users, your audience can also put up for you. So, I like to do that for small businesses when I'm having a great experience and I have a few minutes. I'll take a few photos and upload them to their profile. That really helps, and makes it more appealing for other people. Especially, you see this a lot done for restaurants, like the food
Mm-hmm.
photos. This is what it looks like, because that can be really helpful. So that's sort of the what I've got for the first section. What do you think? Do you have anything else, Phelan, that you want to add?
Yeah, restaurants is a complete can of worms that I don't know if I'm. I don't think we're prepared because there's a couple special
No, we should.
modes for
Yeah,
Google
we should
Business.
also add that to our topic list. I'm just going to make a note of that right now. Restaurants in Google business. That would be
Yeah.
great, actually,
Yeah,
Phelan.
restaurant SEO is like it's its own whole thing because there's DoorDash and Skip the Dishes
Yeah.
automatically attaches if you sign into like there.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing that I haven't got into. I haven't worked with anyone that's done that, but
Yeah.
I've seen it in the wild, and I'm aware that there's a menu tab and there's like a whole
Mm.
bunch of different stuff that opens up if you're a restaurant. Um,
Yeah.
what I would say a big one, kind of going off of making sure your profile is complete, is making sure your services is complete.
Yes.
And
Yes.
those are super important. That I have descriptions that go in with the services that are give you great opportunities to leave them keyword rich. Have as many, fill out as many. It will take you time, but just chip away at it. It's not a SEO is a long term game. You just chip away
Yes.
at bits as you can, and that's going to really make a big impact as well. We have a strategy as well of using the products to create links to deeper parts of the website. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be a product itself, but you could have it that like we offer SEO, we have like SEO training, and so these and you have an opportunity to link as well, so that way people can get further into your website, like directly finding it. So they go to
Yeah.
Google and they see that that's a service you offer, they can go directly to that page, so they don't even have to navigate through that part. So it's
Yeah.
a good way to map out your website into your products.
Yeah. And it's actually external linking system. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very good. Um, than just relying on the website link at the top. So you want that, but you want to actually create a really good web of links that go back to your website
Yeah.
specific pages directly. Okay, so we started to talk a little bit about posting regularly. So the updates, you mentioned that there are promotions, events, you can put blog links up there, special offers, and this really helps to engage visitors, because again, it's content that shows up at the bottom of your listing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's, I think you can see three or four at the same time, and then it moves over, so you get a spot for to catch people's eyes with vibrant, beautiful photos and new content when they visit you, so that can get them to your site also.
Yeah.
um, and then we already did the products and services, so make sure that that's really full. Again, use as many words as you can. They give you quite a good little chunk of space, so
Yeah.
utilize it and make sure that you do have really good keywords. So really good keywords means industry specific, and that people will know, so things that people will be aware of. So let me see if I can give you an example. So I have
Oh,
a client.
I've got a
Yep.
really good example just
Okay,
because
great.
it
Yeah,
speaks
great.
to exactly the service. So we worked with a client and it was that B2B client that we
Mhm.
were talking about. And what happened is that in their service, they said custom development, like custom coded development, but they used the specific keyword of ServiceNow, which is a framework that you would use to build it. when they added that keyword in, when someone typed in ServiceNow Vancouver, that they would show up, and it says on the listing in a little special note, this listing mentions ServiceNow. So it
Yeah,
wasn't like their website even was mentioning it. It was like the actual profile
that's
mentioned it,
great.
and they identified that for them. And so that's a way that it shows up in ways that you're not expecting, because the services
Yeah,
aren't generally visible to people, but it's
yeah.
visible to Google. And that's
Yes,
what's really important.
yes, yes, that is a good point. Your services are not or visible. That's true.
Yeah.
But it does tell Google how to serve up your content better and you as a provider better than if you just do the basics.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's just exactly what you said.
Yeah.
So just paraphrasing.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Okay, so and then I had a thought during that, and I think I just lost it. But let's move on, and hopefully it'll come back to me.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say that the big one as well, that is a lever that I tell to every business that I work with, that is local, is one of the biggest levers you can do, other than filling all this out, is reviews. Is going to be huge for your Google business profile.
Right.
Because Google, I was looking at someone that was doing, they were physiotherapy,
Hmm.
and they were wondering why they weren't showing up first. And then
Yeah.
I searched, and right next to them was two people that had over 100 and 200 5-star reviews. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
difficult to do. I'm not saying it's super easy. It's very tough. And Google also will randomly delete your reviews.
Filter out. Do they delete them completely, or do they
Yeah.
filter them out?
So
Okay.
the filtering out happens if you are at the location and you try to give a review, it'll geolocate you to that and it'll eliminate it because they assume that you got a deal.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, your reviews need to be honest reviews. They need to be people that have done business with you. I've had actually two people recently who are partners of mine. We work together, we're starting to work together, and they wanted to write me reviews, and they did. And normally I would say, why don't we wait until we've done a project together? Because then you have very specific things to say. And so, what happens if you have general things to say about somebody? Google actually often thinks that those are fake reviews, and um, they filter those out, and they also filter out for me a lot of other marketing companies that I work with. Those reviews never stay. I have
Hmm.
such a problem getting them to stick, and I suspect because the reviews are marketing, they're written by marketers, so they're very well written, but they're also not that specific.
Yeah.
And so they're too polished and not as specific as I would like. So make sure that if you get if you have a problem with that, just get somebody to edit their review, and and um and and sort of I have them try to be really specific about what it is that they loved about you, not just that you know what I mean? Like make it really specific and sound like a real person rather than, marketing or put it through AI. Don't put it through AI to make it look good, because that can actually be detrimental.
Yeah. And you also wanted to, like you said, to be keyword rich.
Yeah, and
They did
then
a really good job with my Facebook ads account. And
yeah.
it,
Yes, yes, yes. And then the other thing that I with reviews that's super important is you need to reply to all of the reviews.
right away.
Um, yeah, right away, because that actually, we do know that that really affects your organic SEO in one of the bigger ways. And if you do have issues with negative reviews, there are ways to organize for that. I do have a blog post on how to handle the haters, and it really helps sort of move you into a better light. And really, people aren't judging you based on being perfect every time with all clients. We know that sometimes there are extenuating circumstances, or communication styles don't jive, or something happens. You had like a really bad situation during COVID when you couldn't get your supplies in, or something like that. So
Yeah.
that happens. And so nobody, you know, having 100% 5-star reviews is not the goal, but being able to reply with compassion and professionally, and with some kind of resolution, perhaps, or that something that will make you look like a good person. That that's really the issue. And I do have a blog post on how to do that, which I'll link in the comments.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, you can report them because, like, I've had one time where someone left a
yeah,
review that was just haven't been there, doesn't look like a very nice place, so it
yeah,
hadn't even
oh,
really engaged. One
yeah, yeah,
one
yeah,
other thing about reviews that I just want to say:
yeah.
reviews do not need to mean that monetary money has changed hands.
No,
It can be so. One that we like, Pip and I like to do is we get on a call with someone and we just quickly help them, and it took like 50 minutes, and
yeah,
they're like, oh, how can I ever say thank you? Well, you've helped them out, so
yeah,
you've provided some sort of service, and so it's not really worth it to go build them and all that stuff, and it just wouldn't make sense. So you
yeah.
just send them the review link, and that's perfectly legitimate because you're helping people out.
They've
And they can,
experienced they've
yeah,
experienced your customer service, and that's the important part. Exactly. So we do have a couple more to get through, and I'm worried a little bit concerned about time. So we do have the Q&A feature. So
I
um,
think the
we,
Q&A feature might be because like the question answers, I think it got deprecated. Don't quote me on it.
okay, well that's good because I was going to ask you if you know about that because I haven't seen it. So
Yeah,
perhaps it's
it's part.
gone.
Yeah, it's part of their when they got rid of the FAQ schema. They
Right.
kind of, I
Okay.
think that went with it. Don't
Ah,
quote me
so
on that.
does that mean they got rid of FAQ schema for websites too?
Yeah, it's deprecated now. They will not show the FAQs, so it's not.
Okay. So I can put my FAQs on the About Us page and it's all right.
Yeah,
Great. I like that. All right. So promote special offers. We covered that definitely. Link to your profile. Oh, yes. So you can add your profile link in your signature if you like. You can also, if you go into your Google profile, you can find the link on how to get more reviews. And that's the link that I actually like putting in my profile signature
yeah,
to encourage people to give reviews at every moment. Just have it handy there. And then the best part that I actually appreciate is once you get it all organized, you get these weekly reports, or sorry, not weekly, monthly reports that tells you how much traffic went from your Google business page to your website, and that can be super helpful. I find that really great.
yeah. Though I will say, quick aside, that this is my grievance that if anyone from Google is watching, that I cannot collate the search term report versus any actions.
Yeah,
So I
right.
can see how many impressions that I got, but I want to
Yeah.
know the actions. I want to know what keyword caused what phone call to happen, and it drives me up the
Yes.
wall that like this data should be correlatable. Like
Well,
that, I can make a
maybe
graph of this.
maybe when it becomes a paid service, that'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I'm
Uh,
being cheeky. We are expecting Google to turn that into a paid service at some point.
there. I see. I don't think they will. And here's my
No.
argument: is because they don't want to It's so much around the organic search
Mhm.
that I feel like they're not going to. It's kind of like the third rail for them is to pay for like your organic rankings. It feels like that if they do that, then all goodwill is kind of lost, right? Because
Maybe
I
we'll
feel,
see.
yeah,
I know that they've
they
tried to
flirted with it.
yeah, they've tried to monetize and think about monetizing through organizing websites up there and other types of things. So we'll see what ends up happening. For now, it's still free though. So, and there's no indication that that's going to change in the near future. So, still, this is still a place to put some work into.
Yeah,
Um, and the other thing that I wanted to say is that I've just got a newsletter saying that they are going to have messages back again, and they had them and then they took them away. And I think that they were testing them in Canada because nobody else seemed to have that feature. And then they went away recently, and I got notification from them that it's going to be a new feature that they're expecting to roll out. So that'll be quite interesting. It'll be fun to engage with customers directly. Um,
yeah. I suspect that the reason why it went away is that it got hit with bot traffic. really bad.
Oh
Like
yeah, it did, and it did too because we experienced that too. So they're going to have to figure out a way around that or to filter that out. That's for sure. And then, so I guess the one thing that I just wanted to say though is that you're go back to what you had said earlier, Phelan, about how SEO is actually a long game. So you want to be careful about who you hire to do your SEO because
yeah,
there are like Google organized best practices, which are considered white hat SEO. There's also loopholes that marketers find, SEO people find, and they use those to rank their clients at really high. And it can work, but if it's considered black hat or gray hat, those sites will be penalized when Google figures it out. They always are. I can't tell you how many calls I get from people who say, I was on number one for years and now I dropped to like, I don't know, pages and pages down. And
yeah.
that's usually because black or gray hat tactics are being used. And I don't recommend doing that. I think that that's a lot harder to recover from than the connections that you'll make through however long it lasts. And so to get around the long game, you want to have a good package that also includes Google Ads because that will be the sending targeted traffic to your site right away. And you can also, you were saying, Phelan, and you can pick up on this because you know more about this, how the local ads work with Google Business Page. So do you want to pick that up?
Yeah, so if you have a Google Ads account and you've connected your Google business profile to your Google Ads, what can happen is that you will show up on the map section as like a little special icon. Generally, most of the time, it's taken up by like A&W or Starbucks. That's just kind of constantly running like a Google Ads campaign. That's the majority, but I've seen it for like a random electrician and stuff like that that they just showed up on the mapped listing. So that could be super. It's not like a you can't explicitly be like I only want to show up on the maps or something like that. It's weird how it interacts. It's not a very clear distinction when it's going to happen. So I
So
wouldn't be banking on it.
yeah, so I just want to clarify what that means is when you're in an area, you will be offered up as content, and that is part of your paid ads on the map. So that's uh, which is different than how most people think of Google Ads being in the first
Yeah.
two sections of the SERPs up on the Google results. So that's kind of like a neat little extra bonus. But running ads to your site can be a really good thing to do while you're starting out your SEO journey because it does take a while to get your pages to rank properly, and you have to be fairly consistent at it. I recommend working with providers, but just this is sort of one provider area that I'd say put some caution into because they can really mess up your organic SEO more so than if somebody messed up, well, I'm going to say it, somebody messed up your social. You can pretty much recover immediately and figure that out, but you can't recover your SEO right away. That's
uh,
all.
or ever. If you've done
Yeah.
something black hat, the domain itself will be
Oh, yeah,
flagged.
that's
Like
true.
it's something you can check against Google. They have like a checker. So if
Domain
you're
check.
gonna, yeah. So if there's a domain that you're like, wow, that's why is that available? That should probably it's been penalized, and probably that's why it's sitting there. In the last 2 minutes, we need to talk about one other thing that's super important
Okay.
or it's not super important, but it's definitely something to be aware of, which is your NAP. So there'll be different
Oh, right.
aggregator websites around the web, and those will also have listings. So they usually have your name, your address, and your phone number, linked to your website maybe. And if make sure that it's consistent across the web. You could use tools like Bright Local or WhiteSpark. I recommend WhiteSpark has been pretty good. We've had a couple of clients use it, and so that's been pretty good. Um, I strongly recommend, especially if you've got an older website and you've made any changes to your business name or changes to your address. It's definitely good to just run a quick campaign to make sure that it's consistent across the web. And then there's also Apple Maps is also another listing that can be super helpful because if you, it's not gonna. Well, again, it's similar to Bing. It's not gonna revolutionize your rankings, but it's a nice little 10% boost kind of thing.
There's a lot. There are actually a lot of iPhone users who do use Apple Maps. I'm always a bit surprised by that because I use Google on my iPhone. But you want to think about your target market. That's
Yeah.
ideal. And there's just some people that are iPhone users, and those people generally a lot of those people will be using iMaps, and that would be a good place to be listed for sure.
Or they use Siri, and Siri will automatically
Yes,
go to Apple
very
Maps.
yes,
Like
yes,
that's kind of the
that's
use
right.
case I've
Yeah.
I've seen the most is like you just talk to Siri, and then it's going to use the Apple tool to then locate that business. So it's well worth it to have yourself on there. I will forewarn you that it is not my favorite to verify with them. It is the Apple Business is not the best
I should
system.
check to see if I am verified. I know I'm on there, but it took me 5 minutes to organize it. So I feel like maybe I might have missed the verification part because that was so easy and years ago. Years ago.
Uh, okay, it also changes. So just
Yeah.
bearing. Also,
Yeah.
I do it with someone else, so it could be a bit
Yeah.
of a pain because I got to do a two step, or they get the phone call and then they give me the code, and uh, so anyway,
Right.
we are out of time, and that means that. Do we know what the topic is for next week?
For next week, I think I have it right here. Um, it is this month in the world of Mark. No,
No, that can't be. That was last
I'm
week.
in the wrong. No, I'm in the wrong direction. I don't have it. I don't
Okay.
have it.
Oh yeah, because it's the
Let's
end of the
do
month,
it.
so we're gonna be updating that, and we will
Oh
let
yeah,
you.
next week is February 6th, right? So
That
that
sounds
is
right.
Phelan and Rina again. So the fundamentals of conversion rate optimization, turning visitors into customers. Ooh, that's exciting. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to that. So we are you can watch this wherever you've tuned in today. We stream it every Thursday at 11. And if you want to join us in the Facebook group, we are in the Business Marketing Mixer Facebook group. And I also host happy hour on Fridays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Join us there for all these fun events.